Dolly and her husband Carl have been together for decades, but there's not much we actually know about Carl. Years ago, he made the decision to stay out of the spotlight, and you'll never believe why. Dolly Parton is one of the most famous and recognizable people on the planet, and a big part of that is because she's always lived her life as an open book for the world to see. But there's one major part of her life that's been hiding in the shadows for most of her career, and that's her husband, Carl Thomas Dean, who's a pretty secretive figure compared to Dolly's outspoken and widely known persona. Carl was born in Nashville on July 20th, 1942, which makes him 79 years old as of 2022. He still lives in Nashville in a suburb called Brentwood. His father was Edgar Henry Dean, and his mother was Virginia Jenny Bates. He's a little above average height at 5'10", and he's also a Christian. Carl has worked as a businessman since he was in his early 20s. In the 1970s, when Dolly's career was taking off, he could have easily stayed at home and relaxed, but he clearly has a strong work ethic because he ran an asphalt laying company in Nashville instead. It's pretty admirable and says a lot about him that he decided to run a successful business, especially one that was your average blue-collar manual labor and not a part of show business. Most husbands in that position would probably get an easy, high-paying job at Dolly's record label or just be on vacation for the rest of their lives, but not Carl. It makes you wonder if that kind of character is what appeals to Dolly so much. Carl first met Dolly all the way back in 1964. Dolly was outside of the wishy-washy laundromat in Nashville. Carl was 21 and she was 18. They were both basically kids. Apparently, they both say it was love at first sight, and it also really felt like fate because they met literally on the very first day that Dolly moved to Nashville from Sevierville, Tennessee to pursue her music career. And apparently, as soon as Carl saw Dolly, he knew that she was the one he'd marry. He started flirting with her, and 2 years later, they really did get married. It turned out that Carl was right, but at the time, there were multiple people opposed to the wedding, especially Dolly's label. That's why Carl and Dolly had to elope. They exchanged their vows at the First Baptist Church in Nashville on May 30th, 1966. The only people at the wedding were Dolly's mom, Avie Lee, as well as the preacher and his wife. Dolly must have seen something extremely special in Carl to go against her label's advice and marry him. But Dolly's mom apparently also approved of their relationship, which I feel like was probably really important to him. Dolly and Carl seem like a pretty unusual famous couple. You'd think that we would see Carl at all kinds of events with Dolly, but Carl actually chose specifically to stay out of the public eye. Although that didn't happen right away, because there was actually one event that really set that in motion. Carl once attended a big industry event with Dolly in 1966. There were a lot of music executives and celebrities at the event. It was a dinner for BMI, and there was a red carpet with photographers, just like what you might imagine at a Hollywood premiere. Carl and Dolly put on their best clothes and went to the event together. They sat together all through dinner, as well as the awards ceremony. Carl sat there smiling because he loved his wife, but inside, he was apparently super uncomfortable. The glamorous celebrity life most people dream of wasn't something that he was comfortable with. It probably felt hollow and phony to this person who was just much more used to keeping a low profile. After the dinner, Carl decided to speak up about how he was feeling. He said something to Dolly that would affect their marriage and the rest of their life together. Carl told Dolly that he loved her very much and wanted her to have every single thing that she ever wanted out of her career, including dinners and awards shows like that one, and that he was tremendously happy for her success and never wanted to get in her way. But he never wanted to go to another event like that ever again. Instead of getting upset about it or pushing back, Dolly completely understood and told him that he didn't have to go to any more of these, which I thought was just super lovely. It really shows you how much love and respect they have for each other. Carl has largely stayed hidden since then, but he has made a few brief appearances in TV documentaries, probably because he knows that it's helpful to occasionally be seen, and he clearly still wants to support his wife. It's beautiful how much these two obviously love each other. The TV documentaries Carl has appeared in include Dateline NBC in 1994, CMT Greatest Moments of Dolly Parton in 2006, and Dolly Parton Here I Am in 2019. But other than those, you really almost never see the guy, except sometimes on Dolly's social media, although that doesn't happen all that often either. Dolly has occasionally posted pictures of him on important dates, like on Carl's birthday, when she dressed up like one of her old magazine covers for him, or on Valentine's Day, when she posted a throwback picture of Carl kissing her when they were much younger. But even then, most of Carl's face was obscured from the camera. But Carl's wishes aren't the only reason why their relationship has been kept away from public view. According to Dolly, she also did that on purpose to preserve some privacy from her fans. Dolly shares everything with the world, and this is something that has made her music so popular due to its honesty. But she knows, thanks to advice from her mother, that you can't give everything away, and you need to keep some things for yourself. So clearly, Dolly and Carl are similar in that way. They understand that by keeping some things just for them, their relationship is richer and more fulfilling, and I think it's great that they can agree on this. Carl and Dolly also like to go on simple and spontaneous dates with each other. People say you should never stop dating your partner, even when you're married, and Carl and Dolly are a great example of that. You obviously don't need all the money or fame in the world just to have an exciting date with the person you love. But considering Dolly's net worth is over $650 million, this means that they can have some pretty interesting date nights, like flying anywhere in the world on a private jet if they decide that's what they want to do. Dolly and Carl never had children, but it's not because they didn't want to. They both wanted kids and even went so far as picking out their names. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to actually have kids. Dolly has since said that she now thinks of all her fans as her children, and she's happy to be a mother to them all. It's unclear how Carl feels about it since he keeps to himself, but as a couple, Dolly has said that ultimately they're glad because they don't have the responsibility and worry that comes with being parents, which might also explain how their marriage has stayed so fresh all these years. But there's one more aspect of Dolly and Carl's marriage that says a lot about Carl, and that's that they have an open relationship of sorts, which might seem kind of weird to some people, but they make it work. Dolly says that she's never physically intimate with other men, but she has developed crushes, and she apparently regularly flirts with men, but she always comes back home to Carl and is faithful within the understanding they have in their marriage. That says so much about the confident person that Carl must be, because an insecure husband wouldn't be able to handle that, especially with such a beautiful and famous wife who is obviously more successful than him, even though he ran a respectable asphalt business. We also know Carl has a great sense of humor, something that Dolly has credited as keeping them together all these years. The key to her heart is apparently making her laugh, and it's great that Carl can do that. It honestly seems to me like Carl and Dolly are an amazing couple. But what do you guys think? Did you know about their relationship? And do you think Carl made the right choice when he decided to stay out of the spotlight?